Hello and welcome to tutorial number 7 in our mech creation tutorials. So we're going to color this guy in. We're going to use the cycles render engine to do that. I'm going to bake out some textures and then use them in our game engine. So what do we need? We need metal, we need glass for here, and basically just different types of metal, and then we need to make it dirty, and this may be concrete. So when you're looking for images to use, obviously the best thing to do is go out and take photographs. However, if you can't do that, you don't have time, you can subscribe to a library and buy images. If you want to find images that you can use in a project and not pay for them, make sure you look for a Creative Commons search engine like this one. So CC search, and so if I put in some metal seamless texture and I search, then all of the images that come up will have been tagged Creative Commons, so I can comfortably use these and know that I'm not infringing on somebody's copyright. Somebody hasn't made this image and wants me to pay them for it. So the next thing we want to do is so labeled for reuse with modification. Cool. So I don't need all of these, but some of them will be cool. So that's a good one there. And view image. Oh, I just downloaded directly. So let's go. It's in my downloads folder. Okay. And actually, that's just not, because I haven't done a CC search for that one. I'm just going to use a couple of these. Let's go on. This is good. Brush metal. Scroll down. That's very good. The size is important on these things. We don't want anything too small. Ideally, what we want is repeat pattern, but you know, something like that is also excellent. And yeah, we'll use that one too. Okay, so view image, again, it's downloaded automatically. View image, we save that. So this is not a real image, this is being made in Photoshop. So we'll call this plate metal. And I don't like this one. This is kind of a brushed metal. This is excellent as well. So rust. This is quite small, so automatically downloaded. Yeah, I like this one. Save as. We call this rivet plate. And now that I look at it, I don't want that one. Okay, so they're all in my downloads folder. So let's see, how do we use them? Well, there's lots of ways to use them. First, before we do that, though, we need to figure out how we're going to use, how this is going to move, and you know, how accurate we want our model to look. So I'm going to split my view, and I'm going to go to the UV image editor. Okay, I go N and T, so I'm going to see the model. Now, when I go into edit mode, if I select all and go U unwrap, that's what I'll get, which is absolutely useless in terms of applying textures. I'm going to unwrap with Smart Unwrap, and this will give us a better idea of what we're dealing with. In fact, that's quite usable. So let's see what we've got here. So this has taken one of the sides of this bar and unwrapped it here, and then obviously it's got a top layer and a bottom layer, so that's probably these here, and then it's got a second side, so this side over here, and we have, if we count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2 down here, 8, 9, 10 of them. So if we count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So each one of these panels here corresponds to one side over here. So this is a good unwrap. And now we can start using our images over here and applying them in our viewport. So I'm going to go Image, Open Image, and go to my Downloads folder, and Infinite Monkey Cage. Yes, you should download that too. I'm going to pick this sheet of metal here and open it. Now, let's have a look at how this works before I start moving things in this window. If I want to see things in here, I need to turn on Textures or Materials. Let's go to Materials. And if I click to the Materials panel, this item here, this leg, has no material. Let's give it a new material, and we'll call it Base Legs. Oh, got a rogue A in there. Now I'm going to open up my timeline. I'm going to switch outfit. I'm going to go to my node editor. Now, welcome to nodes. These can get very complicated, but we'll try and keep it simple for now. So this is my base color. If I change my color, it changes up here. I can put them in numerically. I can do RGB, red, green, blue, or different values. That's hue, saturation. I'm not interested in any of them. What I'm interested in is adding in this image, this photo. So I'm going to go Texture, Image Texture, and I'm going to use that as my input. What image am I going to use? Well, this is called background, whatever it is, 1011, and you can see it's immediately applied it. And sometimes you need to tell it to use these coordinates. So normally it's a good idea in input to say UV map and plug it in, and we've only got one UV map called UV map, but you could have multiple UV maps, which we'll do later in the year. Now, so that's a really basic sort of setup there for nodes. This is basically the finished product. This is saying it has color, it responds to light. This is the input and the coordinates of the input. Now, if I start scaling here, you'll see in real time them react. So let's just have a look here and see what we can do, if this is possible to isolate things, and it is. So I can rotate this 90 degrees and move it to there, L or 90. Now if I was actually watching the model, I'd see these spin around in real time. So I'm just going to place these all on top of each other. Now that means I'll get a repeat pattern, but I'm not too worried about that. So I'm just moving around. Now they're not perfectly aligned, but we can live with that. And this is from the leg, that one. Now, I'm using the L tool to spin these around. So the same tools that you use in the UV image editor, or just these tools are the same as the ones that you would use in the 3D viewport. So basically this is the two-dimensional layout of my three-dimensional object, so that I can put two-dimensional images on it. So L or 90, I'll move this down. Now I'll move these here, 10 to 90 degrees, box selects, rotate 90G and move, and then these are all the kind of the ends, so we'll put them over there. Now this is what I want to do. I'm going to select this, I want to get the most out of this image, so I'm going to go scale on X, scale on Y. Now let's see what that looks like. Now, what I can do is I can go like say scale to the power of 5, and that will get me a lot more detail. So the scratches, as you can see, are much smaller, but we also have this repeat pattern. So I'm not going to, so S.2 brings me back down. So we're always in a constant battle between the size of the texture and the amount of detail that we want. So I can use a much bigger image and therefore have a lot more detail, but in doing so I might, you know, like a 4000 by 4000 image might be 20 or 30 meg, and I might have 100 of them to load in. So, you know, I'd cripple my machine in loading every frame with that much imagery. So that's not too bad, and we can get in and tweak that a bit more. In an ideal world we would have a separate image for each of these bars, and then we could go in and hand paint each one. So if I was going to make an object that was going to be on the front cover of a magazine, that's the sort of detail I would that's the sort of detail that I would go for. But for now, for a game, for a very simple game, we'll just leave it at this. Like I said, we're just looking at the moment at basic sort of technique. Okay, so that's that unwrapped. Very good. Now let's take another object, something complex like a foot here. Now again, if I just unwrap this, I get, you know, just a mess, everything's on top. I can use Blender's own kind of smart unwrap, yeah, and that's not bad. So let's apply our material to this. Yeah, so it's not too bad at all. It's kind of to scale to the rest of it. And let's do the same here. So let's go unwrap and add our base metal. So oh, that's not too bad at all. So I'm liking this so far. It's easy. I'll take this guy here and smart unwrap that. Yeah, that's not bad. And we'd add base metal to that one. So this is all looking good so far. Like I said, it's kind of procedural almost at this stage. It's not well, procedural is the wrong word. It's not it's all the same. So we haven't, and we'll take this guy here and see what we get. Now this probably won't work because of scale, but you know, we'll see. So with this one, we'll use that technique, we'll scale it up. And it looks pretty poor. That's okay. Now, I'll look through our camera and see what our camera sees. Alright. Now, let's, our cockpit here, let's smart unwrap that. But let's use a completely different image. So let's go image, open image, and bring in this one here. A bit of rust on it. And let's go new, and we'll call this rust let's repeat our process down here in the node editor. We'll add in our image texture and we'll link it. And this one's called background. It's a different number. We'll link it in if we've got the wrong one. Oh, we've got the right one. Okay. And again, we should just, out of good habits, tell it to use the correct UV coordinates. So that's that one there then. Now okay, so far so good, and we're going to take these guys here again, smart unwrap them. This is just very convenient, and I'll do the same with these pins. Smart unwrap. Unwrapping circular and cylindrical objects is actually, it can be quite difficult. You have to attack the technique we'll look at into the future is painting in seams. So okay. Okay, so that it was coming up red there because I hadn't unwrapped it. It was giving me an error saying I was using a UV map that didn't exist. And we'll do the same with this. And we'll use the rust one, I think, but we might tweak that a bit. Okay. Okay. So let's get to this one. Smart unwrap it, and we'll add in our rust. Okay. So now we got these guys here. We'll smart unwrap them, but we need a new material, so we'll go open image. We don't really have concrete, but we'll try this guy and see what we can get. We'll call this metal plates. Again, over here we add in image texture and metal plate, and we should add in our input UV map. Okay. It's not great. Let's try a straight unwrap. Yeah, we'll just leave it for now. We are racing against time. Okay, so now what I want to show you how to do is to add in two. So I'm going to unwrap this. Now it doesn't yet smart unwrap it, and yeah, it's unwrapped there. And we're going to add in the base one. However, I want to add in a second material. So I'm going to go into face select. I'm going to go plus, and I'm going to call this light. And I want the shader I want is an emission shader. Okay, so make it slightly blue. I'm going to increase this. We can put that in there. And what I want to do is this here. I'm going to go assign. Okay, and actually I can do this that way. Now skip train. Let me delete that. So these will actually, if I'm going to click now to render, and so I want to assign that. select, invert, assign that. Now, why am I still white? Here, preview. Okay, that'll do. Add in a mix shader, and we'll just give it a basic color here. It's blue. Okay. Oops. Okay. Now, render. So, we've got a base color here. Oops. And as we increase the brightness of it, the light spilling off it, you can see, is blue. So we'll actually illuminate other parts of the mech. So it behaves like a light would behave. Okay. So there's our mech. Now we need to do the same with this one. I'm just going to go out of back to solid mode. I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to go select it all, smart unwrap it onto this, give it the base color, and then add in a layer which is the light. Select that face and assign it. And moving into materials, and moving into render. And hang on. Oop. Assign. Now, go to render, and that will pour light on the top of this, which again is kind of cool. Now, so we're still missing a whole bunch of things. There's a hole here, we need to put something through it to kind of keep it all together. I want to put in loads of wires and cables, and I need to colour in the glass. So let's have a look at how we do glass. So I'm going to select the glass here, and I'm going to go new. I'm going to call it glass. There's numerous ways to do this, but we'll have a look. So I'm going to add in a shader, which is a mixed shader. Add that in there, and then I'm going to add in transparent shader. So these are, sharing the output. So if I want to make this a bit darker, so it's going to be just frosted kind of glass. If I wanted to, I could add in a pattern. So let's say I wanted to have scratches on the glass. I can add in my texture of one of my metals. Okay, if we zoom in, we'll see that a bit more. Oh, too far. Way too far. Yeah, okay, where are we? There we are. So let's go back to rendered. So we can see through, and then we can, using the mix shader, I can decide what percentage I want of this, or if I want it to be highly transparent, so I can see through, and that's great. That gives us a whole bunch of control, and I can see obviously the chair in there, so I can slide up and slide down. Now, let's go back to solid mode and just put this shader on all of the bits of glass. And nearly there. Cool. I go back to rendered mode and zoom out a bit. And that's our mech at the moment. Now these little dots are normally referred to as fireflies if you look on the Blender forums, and they are a consequence of using the Cycles render engine, which is a really good render engine, but requires a lot of sampling in order to get rid of these, which we can do. We're not going to worry about it too much for now. Okay, so again, this is a very basic sort of tutorial in terms of setting up materials. What we've looked at is basic UV unwrapping using the Smart Unwrapper. We've loaded in some images, applied those images to individual objects. We've added in 3 lamps, and those lamps we've applied 2 materials to each of them. So one has a sort of a metal frame and then a light in the middle. And then we have looked at selecting our glass and setting up a transparency shader that we have a level of control over, and that doesn't look too bad. Alright, so we'll save that for now.